Good morning, one and all. Welcome to the Own Your SECAP final meeting, Act Now and Shape Tomorrow. This meeting will be recorded, so please ensure that you switch off your cameras and microphones. But we are very open to questions, and please write them down in the chat, and we will answer it at the end of the conference. And if ever anything remains unanswered, this will be written then on the website afterwards. We have a quite busy schedule. This is the opening and the welcome. And I am Michael Thomas from MT Partenaires Ingénierie from France. Bordeaux, we are project partners for France and also in charge of communication and dissemination. And then the next speakers will be Marika Rocha from Ecodoma with a presentation of how the SECAPs fulfill all the plans. Then we have a vision of how EU climate and energy policies evolve, why energy management supports everything, and then how to develop SECAPs in small municipalities. Then a very great example from Saldus. There is money for that, and CINEA will tell us all about it, and then we will finalize with questions and answers. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Marika. Please, all the speakers, introduce yourselves so the names are pronounced correctly, and then you can go.
Yeah, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us in this final event our project Own Your SECAP. Thank you, Mikael, for moderating the conference and for the invitation. Yeah, my name is Marika Rocha, and Ecodoma is a coordinator of the project, and I put myself a title, which represents the project, so how to get the plans, the SECAPs from the shelf. And I would say, yes, in Europe we have at least a decade of experience on developing SECAPs, so energy and climate action plans. And there is, of course, still a space to improve them and to develop them for the new municipalities, for the municipalities who don't have them. But what we see today, there are many municipalities who have these sustainable energy climate action plans, but they face a bigger issue, which is directly linked to the implementation of them. So therefore, the backbone of Own Your SECAP project was mostly on the implementation, how to get the municipalities to feel the ownership of their SECAPs and start implementing and start introducing them in the daily businesses they have. And of course, there's no one receipt, but today I would like to share a story of a municipality that represents the best of the Own Your SECAP. So this story is based on true events. Like any story, it starts with a municipality, and this particular municipality joined the Covenant of Mayors in 2019 and created their SECAP in 2020 and even updated the 2021. But since then, nothing really happened. And I would say that, that was the time when the SECAP was put on the shelf. And as it has happened in many municipalities around Europe, so that the sustainable energy action plans are developed, paid by the municipality or supported by different European projects, and but nothing happened. But in this case, the good thing happened in the way that the national legislation was introduced in Latvia in 2023 in autumn, so that all the municipalities to have an energy management system in place. So this means that the municipality was actually pushed by the national law to hire an energy manager. And successfully, the energy manager was hired and working on part-time and without prior experience in the municipalities. So starting really from zero in the municipal hierarchy. So the first steps, of course, are that the municipality had to start working with the energy management. So I would say that the energy manager was really overwhelmed because the system is huge. There are more than 100 buildings, street lighting poles to street lighting maintenance to take care from the energy perspective. And a good assistance, of course, came in is the good planning, the regular workshops and organized by Own Your SECAP, who actually brought together energy managers from 12 to 15 in average municipalities in Latvia. So what we managed to create is kind of the community which allowed the energy manager to reduce the feeling that this is too much, and it allowed to move forward to sorry, Mikael is making some changes. Mikael, can we go back to the presentation? Yeah, thank you. So here comes the project in the third step. Yes, please, can you put the third step that the municipality got the first tools that were developed by Own Your SECAP. So the one of the tasks that energy manager did is she went through the SECAP evaluation sheets, so to look through which measures the municipality can start implementing. And it allowed them to, with easy criteria, to assess these measures against the values like political support. Are the responsibilities divided? Is the measure actually ready to be implemented? So in the next step, the energy manager was able to identify 3 measures. And these were, the first was identification of the most sensitive municipal buildings. The second measure was improvement of the energy management system. And the third was monitoring of the renovated buildings. So the next step, of course, the municipality, the energy manager started with the creating action plan for the first measure. So the energy manager really preferred to work step by step, not on all 3 measures in the parallel, but step by step growing the competencies and the confidence. And so Own Your SECAP provided a template to ease, to bring the energy manager through the different steps. And the energy manager started with the identification, with the step number 6, identification of the most sensitive municipal buildings. In this case, the work was huge because, as I mentioned before, there were more than 90 buildings. So the question was how to identify the most sensitive municipal buildings. And in this case, a help was given also by Own Your SECAP. So a technical mentor, technical partner of Own Your SECAP assisted the energy manager with a monthly, even the not monthly meetings, but 1 hour online meetings every second week. And it allowed the energy manager to start working really on this process. So what the energy manager did, so it was direct work with the energy group, and especially with the executive director, which was really a core moment to involve the higher administrative staff in all the work. It followed also with the work with the manager of the technical staff, so manager of the managers, and directly also with the technical staff of the buildings. So it was direct linked that the energy manager could create directly with them and of course among them. It couldn't be done without political drama, so the energy manager was also invited to discuss these issues in the council meetings. So it actually brought an attention which was never brought before to the issues related to the energy consumption on how the municipality maintained their buildings. And it gave also, I would say, an energy, also motivation to the energy manager to continue. And so the energy manager continued with the second measure. The second measure under step 7, it was improvement of energy management system. So based already on the previous measure, based on the previous work, but the energy manager did so. The energy manager, together with the other involved parties, developed guidelines, clear guidelines, how the energy users, the users of the buildings, and also technical staff can, with simple changing behavior actions, to work with the issues related to the better maintenance of the buildings. So step by step, the energy manager, together with the energy group, together with the executive director, strengthened their capacities and got to the better results. And this led to the third measure. So initially it was supposed to be that the energy manager will work with the monitoring of the renovated buildings. So it was supposed that there are a lot of money spent in Latvian municipalities on renovation. So it was idea, to really follow, to monitor better the consumption of these buildings. But after inventory, it was energy manager decided that there is not actually so much work to do. And together with the technical mentor, it was decided that actually the energy manager could go one step forward and actually start working on SECAP update. And here, an additional tools provided by Own Your SECAP were really helpful. So this was a SECAP journal that allowed the energy manager really start inventorying the measures that the municipality has been doing so far, but they were never really related to the Sustainable Energy Climate Action Plan. So what the energy manager did, they started, identify the involved parties, departments who are responsible already currently on implementing energy and climate-related activities, and to start identifying, aligning the responsibilities also for the future to ensure better and better understanding and also implementation of the SECAP measures. In meanwhile, also energy manager also did the emission monitoring, which wasn't done since the SECAP was created. So to understand, yes, where they stand with CO2 emissions, have they reduced them so far, and what would be the projections for the future? And I would say this was the turning point when the goal actually in this particular municipality and through Own Your SECAP was achieved through these small steps, starting really small, starting really from the feelings of overwhelm that this is too much, to the feeling that this can be done. And this was done throughout the 1.5 year. And finally, the SECAP was taken off the shelf in this particular municipality. And the municipality is existing, and this was the story of municipality of Kuldīga, which is situated in Latvia. It is a rural municipality with a rather large territory. These are 2,500 square kilometers, and the population is of 25,000 inhabitants. So there are 2 cities, and there are more than 15 parishes. So very dispersed in territory, but anyhow with the opportunities and possibilities. And the energy manager is Agata Zirn, who has also joined today us here. And I'm really thankful her. I would like to thank her for this great work that she has done, and that this really helps as a good example of Own Your SECAP. And I think, yeah, there of course are plenty of other stories behind Own Your SECAP. We have involved 110 municipalities, and each municipality has a story. This is just one of the stories. Later, my colleagues will tell other stories, but most of the information you can find on our website, Own Your SECAP EU. And as we are in the project 11 countries, we have also our national websites where we have published all the information in the local languages. So we would really be happy if you could use these tools. And if you have any questions, if you have any inquiries also afterwards, please contact us, our partners. And yes, thank you for your attention and good work today.
Thank you very much, Marika. This is very inspirational. I think the local authority that you were guiding through taking the SECAP off the shelf. Next up, we will have how to evolve through EU energy and climate policies through the challenges. And to do this, it is my pleasure to introduce Christoph.
Yes, thank you. Now let's have a look on the rather big picture. We saw energy and climate policy on municipality level is a really long step-by-step walk. And what I want to present now is the larger picture. It's called the European Green Deal. And this is what it's all about, what we're talking about here. I don't have so much time, so I only will pick out the most important messages. And what the European Green Deal is all about, it's about climate neutrality by 2050. This is quite an ambitious goal, and the European Commission says Europe should be the first climate neutral continent in the world. So we're talking about being climate neutral by 2050. Next slide, please. There are several regulations relevant for this goal, and the first one I want to present, just to highlight some tasks, is the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, where we got a recast. And here the goal is to decarbonize the entire building stock by 2050. So this is something that has to be done. It has to be implemented in national legislation for sure. But this is something where we work to. Very specific for public buildings is Article 7, where it says that all new buildings have to be zero emission buildings by from 1st January of 2028. This is quite in short term. It also mentions that solar energy has to be on all the buildings that are larger than 250 square meters, on all new buildings by the end of 2026, and on all existing buildings by the end of 2030. So this is quite ambitious. It also mentions that the infrastructure for sustainable mobility has to be implemented, and there have to be energy performance certificates for all buildings owned or occupied by public bodies. This is something that is also related to the next regulation. Can you continue? This is the Energy Efficiency Directive, number 3. This was published in September 20th and 2023. And although this directive has to be transposed into national law, and there's still some time left, but it's only 4 months. And as far as we see, there is no legal basis in some member states. So I can talk about Austria. We don't have any legislation up to now, but there are quite strict obligations in this directive, which I want to present in the next slides. The first is the Article 5, which is about public sector leading on energy efficiency. And there is a clear target that all public bodies, including the local level, has to provide energy savings by 1.9% annually. I mean, the goal is on the member state level, but the obligation is also handed over to regional or local authorities. But this has to be clarified in national legislation. This obligation has some timeline for the large municipalities, larger than 50,000 inhabitants. It will start from October 2025, and the smaller ones have some more time, but still it's coming very fast. All local government units have to provide some decarbonization plans or sustainable energy plans. This is something where Own Your SECAP can provide guidance and support this activity. Next slide, please. Article 6, this is the other ones where quite some obligations come up. It's about the exemplary role of public bodies buildings. And it says that at least 3% of the total area of heated and or cooled buildings owned by public institutions, and there's some size limit, have to be renovated, and they have to be renovated to nearly zero energy or zero emission buildings, which is quite a strict level that has to be aimed at. There are some other obligations, but I only want to highlight this public inventory. This should be provided by 11th of October. This is the 4 months that I mentioned as one milestone, and this has to be public. So there's quite some work to do for some municipalities still, and also in this case, this is something where Own Your SECAP provided support for some municipalities. Next slide. There's some other articles that are relevant for municipalities, not that strict. Maybe in some cases they have obligations, in others not. There have to be local heating and cooling plans for cities or municipalities larger than 45,000 inhabitants. And the heating and cooling supply also has to be decarbonized until 2050, where the emission factor should decrease from 200 grams per kilowatt hour of final energy to 0 in 2050. There are quite some milestones in between, and this is quite some important development. And the larger facilities have to provide plans how they can do this every 5 years. Next one. Yes, there is another directive. It's the Renewable Energy Directive, also number 3. It should be transposed. I think it's next next week or something like that. And this is about the share of renewable energy in buildings, which is relevant for municipalities. There are also some information about district heating, where the share of renewable energy should be increased by 2.2% per year. And there should be some instruments where third parties also can provide heat in heating systems. What's quite important is the acceleration of procedures, which are quite long in some cases. And what you see here is that in some cases, 12 months is the longest period, and in solar energy, which is quite important, is only 1 month. So this is quite an acceleration activity. Next one. So I come to the summary. This is what I said in the last slides. I don't have so much time. These are the obligations that will affect municipalities. It's from the Energy Performance of Building Directive. This is about decarbonization of the building stock and the building standards that have to be fulfilled by 2028. The Energy Efficiency Directive is about this annual energy saving obligation of 1.9% of the 2021 energy consumption, final energy consumption. And there is renovation obligation for buildings that are owned by municipalities, and there are some regulations about the district heating systems. Renewable Energy Directive was also mentioned, where it's about the share of renewable energy in buildings, but also in district heating systems and the acceleration of procedures. And what I'm aware of is, for sure, this has to be transposed into national law. In all the cases, this is quite different in member states. So there's quite a complex system behind this. And what is really the big challenge is money. This is why the euros are larger here, because this will need a lot of money. If we talk about the renovation obligation, for example, there's no idea yet how to finance this on municipality level. For example, we don't see how this can work, but it's something that will have to be tackled in the coming time. So this was it. So there's a lot of things to do, and this is nothing that we can discuss in Own Your SECAP as something that is a voluntary activity. This is something that will be an obligation. So it's good to prepare for this also on a municipality level. So these are the references, and just if you want to have a closer look at the documents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lots of obligations. The presentation will be available on the project website, so you will be able to click on the URLs in order to get more detail to that. But with so many obligations, how do the local authorities cope with that? And to tell us that, I invite my friend Emanuele to explain us how energy management supports climate planning. Emanuele.
Good morning, everyone. Even from my side, thank you, Michael, for your kind introduction. Sorry for my webcam, which is still not working today, unfortunately, but I'm glad to be here with you to introduce this interesting topic, which is about energy management system integrated with sustainable energy action plans, providing you some practical experience, in particular the one coming from Abano Terme municipality, which is here with us today, with a couple of representative staff for the municipality, which is a really expert city participating in Own Your SECAP and Compete for SECAP as well, previously developed and implemented project. Next one, please. Okay, thank you. My presentation is divided in basically in three parts. The first one is dedicated to fix some key concept about ISO 50001 in SECAP, because I suppose some one of you, well, the most of you are quite familiar with SECAP requirements and activities, but maybe some one of you is not so familiar with ISO 50001 requirements and activities. So let's clarify some key concept at the beginning, then we will link ISO and ISO 50007 and SECAPs activities by referring to common requirements and integration of both. And then in the third part, I will give you some practical experience coming from Haban, as I said, in development of the SECAP integrated with the ISO and in the implementation of this kind of two important and fundamental tools for the sustainability of the city. About ISO, what is it as a first key concept? Well, it's an international standard. It's part of the family of the ISO standard, which is basically referred to 9001 about quality, 14001 environmental aspects dedicated to the management system applied to any kind of organization. ISO 50001 is strictly dedicated to energy management, so assessment of the energy performance of an organization. It can be applied in any kind of organization. It's quite common to see ISO applied in private sectors, I mean, tertiary sector, mobility sector, industrial sector. So several companies all over the world, all over Europe are certified according to ISO 50001. It's not so common in local authorities. That's why we launched several European projects dedicated to the development and implementation of ISO 50001 in local authorities, which is quite tricky and challenging aspect, quite tricky and challenging activities to be done in local authorities. And ISO is strictly dedicated to the management of the local authority assets in this case, so energy performance of the local authority, buildings, public facilities, infrastructures, public lighting, PV plants or other kind of RES plants, and municipal vehicle fleet. In particular, as a sector which can be included in the local authority assets. We demonstrated in previous project, in particular in Compete for SECAP, that ISO applies even in cultural changes. And there is another important news which comes from the IAF requirements, which is the new addendum A1 2024, introduced at the beginning of 2024, which links ISO activities and requirements even to climate change aspect, assessing whether climate change is a material issue and whether stakeholders have specific requirements related to it. So that's another link between ISO 50001 and SECAP. Next one. Oh, sorry, this is one. Stay on this, please, Mikhail. SECAP is quite common to everyone, I suppose, in this conference. Basically, energy management and climate action plans are based on a key document. The initiative is promoted by the Commission, is in component of major framework, are plans developed and submitted and implemented on a voluntary basis. The first difference between ISO and SECAP is the broader scope, because as you can see, ISO is mostly dedicated on local authority assets, but while the SECAP has a broader scope, which includes even the management of the aspects in energy consumption and resilience coming from private sectors as well, residential, commercial, tertiary, industry, and mobility. Next one, please. Okay, so first difference is this one. ISO enables organization to systemize and define processes necessary to continually improve the energy performance. It's strictly dedicated on assets. SECAP is broader than ISO 50001, and each one is integrated in the other in an integration concept of both the tools by using ISO for the management of the local authority assets and by using the SECAP requirement to manage the additional sector I mentioned before. Next one. Both the tools are basically linked to each other. In particular, when they are adopted and implemented in local authorities, and ISO can serve as a robust framework and tool to efficiently develop and implement and monitor a SECAP by using the same basically approach, establishing a working group and procedures to approach the energy management of the assets and the territory, implementing action, maintaining the system and the SECAP, and improving continuously the information and the performance of the local authority assets and the territory. That's what we tested in several European projects. We started with this kind of activities in integrating ISO and SECAPs in 2011-2012 by thanks to the project Energy for Mayors, assisting several local authorities all over Europe, in particular in Italy, Recco, Moneglia, and Maranello. Then we continue from 2013, 2014 to 2017 through the project 50,001 SEAPs, and then we are going now arriving at the moment with Compete for SECAP, who ended in 2021-22, and Own Your SECAP, which is our new project dedicated to the integration and testing ISO and SECAP in local authorities. Next one. So while SECAP require a systematic approach, ISO basically did the same, providing exactly a systematic approach for the implementation, identification of energy sources, monitoring, identification of energy improvements, and as I said before, in identification of climate aspect which can affect the organization performances. In both cases, we are talking about data collection and monitoring, so key aspects are in both cases related to the data collection, analysis of energy sources and consumption, measurement, analysis of the energy performance. So it can be easily and perfectly combined with each other. Next one. In both cases, we have to define an energy review. We have to analyze significant energy uses and opportunities in order to have clear in mind which kind of action we have to put in place in order to face our energy efficiency targets, which can be directly transferred from the ISO 5001 activities to the SECAP measures. As Marika presented when she talked about the activities related to the energy managers. And then we have the same framework based on the PDCA cycle, which is the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle. In both cases, all the activities we have to do in order to plan, do, check, and act an action plan are perfectly transferable to the ISO approach to the SECAP approach in order to have a common and a whole comprehensive vision and strategy on how to approach energy efficiency aspect and the reduction of the energy demand in public and private sectors. Next one. In both cases, one of the most important points is the resource allocation and responsibility, and the one dedicated to the policy and commitment. It's it's a fundamental aspect to have top management engaged. I mean, politicians, representative of the local authority, political representatives, in order to have a clear energy policy and resilience policy of the city, and clear targets and a clear definition of resources dedicated to the activities, so an energy team, a resilience team, in order to face all the challenges can be included in this kind of activities in developing and implementing ISO 50001 and a SECAP, which is a really tricky aspect if you have not a clear internal organization and a structured group of employees dedicated to this kind of activities. Next one. Another important aspect is dedicated to demonstrating progress and accountability. We are facing in the last activities of our projects that it's really important that cities are able to demonstrate themselves as expert stakeholder in energy issues, mostly when they are knocking on the doors of private sectors in order to involve relevant stakeholders coming from residential, mobility, tertiary, and industrial sector, trying to open with them a sort of direct relationship dedicated to the targets of the policy, environmental and energy target of the city. Having an ISO 50001, it makes the local authorities able to demonstrate they expertise in managing energy aspects, and it provides through the SECAP additional information for private relevant stakeholders about what's the situation in terms of resilience of the territory by analyzing in the SECAP climate adaptation risks, which are basically asked to private companies in the recent legislation we have in the European Union. Next one. So we demonstrated through all the project I mentioned before, and even more in Own Your SECAP, that ENMS is part of a SECAP because it allows local authorities to go from general to concrete action, from a quantitative to a qualitative measurement of the energy performance, getting additional information, analyzing aspects related to different conditions which can affect the energy performance. We can go from a general territory to a baseline to a multiple baselines for each energy use and for each sector which is included in the SECAP. And we can go even from general action plans to specific and measurable annual action plans, which can be included and incorporated in the ISO and as well in SECAP at the same time. And we can go with specific energy consumption data, getting specific energy emission related and savings we can actually get operating on real numbers. Next one. And then a quick overview of the positive experience of Abano Terme municipality, which is a very interesting city located here in Italy, in Veneto region. It's one of the most important thermal center over Europe. So a city which over 20,000 inhabitants, full of hotels, a very important thermal center, a very active city, mostly about sustainability policy and strategies. Next one. Abano Terme started this process in the Covenant of Mayors quite early, because in 2008 they signed the Covenant of Mayors for the first time and then developed the CIAP. And joining Compete for SECAP, the city started with the development of the SECAP, so 2030 and 2050 targets. And it started to think about how the sustainability strategy of the city must be developed and which kind of result they are expected by 2030 and 2050. So a quite innovative and positive pathway towards sustainability. Next one. Additionally, that's a city really expert in certification, because they are certified according 14,001 in 2005. They get registered by the EMAS protocol in 2006, and in 2020 through the activities we developed in Compete for SECAP, they get certified according ISO 50001. So a really structured group of work, a really structured and a clear vision about the strategy of the management of the local authority assets and properties, and a really clear vision of the city ambitions in terms of sustainability by 2030 and 2030. Next one. Concentrating our attention on the ISO 5001 of the Abano Terme city, that's the scope the city chose for the certification, so provision of municipal services through the maintenance of energy management of public lighting and municipal assets, and promotion to good practices for users of public facilities. So strictly involved on the management on one side, but also in engaging final user of the buildings, because one of the most interesting characteristics of local authorities, which is quite different compared to the private sectors, is that the 90% of public buildings and public facilities are used not by local authorities employees, are used by pupils, by students, by workers, by other kind of citizens and stakeholders, basically. The boundaries of the ISO 50001, previous one, okay, thanks. The boundaries of the previous one. Okay, thank you. The boundaries of the local authority of Abano Terme certification is formed by 18 buildings, 11 facilities, and over 6,000 public lighting lamps, plus one geothermal plant, which was recently recently activated on a school, on a Vittorino da Feltre school. And then they have an action plan which is formed by over 90 energy targets included, which covers a triennial period from 2022 to 2025. Then they have a clear internal organization with the top management, which is formed by the mayor and the city councilor delegated for the activities on energy aspects. Then they have the management representatives, which is the head of the public work office, and an energy team formed by several members of different departments of the city, which has basically related with public works, maintenance, and this kind of aspects. Another important thing we tested in Abano Terme, and we are testing in other local authority, is the fact that ISO represents a very important tool to manage and govern the energy performance contracts the city are signing with utilities and HESCOs, and that's the case of Abano Terme, because we are managing by ISO both the contracts they have. The one is on public buildings, thermal use, and the second one is about public lighting project, energy performance project. And of course, in Abano, ISO and SECAP are integrated each other. Next one, please. As you can see, the experience of the city in integrating mitigation adaptation in local authority planning is really, really, really high. I don't want to stress other concepts which are off topic at the moment, but as you can see, the city has a lot of plans and municipal regulation and principle to approach the sustainability in a transversal way in several sectors, starting from the building regulation, going through the metropolitan bike plan or the sustainable mobility metropolitan plan, the civil protection plan about resilience. They have the strategic green plan of the city. And then they have IMAS and ISO 14001. They have the ISO 15001. They have the public lighting contract with the HESCO contract. They have 14 energy diagnosis on municipal building, and they have a project financing contract on municipal buildings and facility. Everything is integrated and controlled by ISO and SECAP integrated each other. Next one, please. And that's in a nutshell the SECAP of the city. As you can see, we have 6 main missions dedicated to energy efficiency, renewable energy, mobility, resilience, safe city, and communication information activities. And we have 42 measures which are a part of the SECAP of Abano Terme identified during the SECAP development. Next one. Those are the quantitative results of the city expected by 2030. So to avoid 41.2% of the CO2 emission comparable with the one they have been classified in 2003, which is the baseline of the SECAP in the city. Next one, please. And then during the activities in Own Your SECAP, we are supporting the city in implementing several actions. 17 has been elected as priority action in the city, and we are supporting the city during the years of the project in implementing this kind of action, which are considered the most important in the brief period for the city of Abano Terme. Everything is next one. Everything is reported in the first SECAP implementation report, which has been developed within Own Your SECAP activities, and which is published on the Covenant of Mayor website. So the city is basically in line with the deadlines they have in monitoring the SECAP by reporting all the activities they are conducting in this kind of in this kind of field. Okay, that's all for me. Just a suggestion, if you are interested in visiting our website in order to get some tool and resources on how to integrate INMS and SECAP, you can find everything on your SECAP website, in particular in the toolbox dedicated to resources. There you can find a guideline on how to integrate SECAP in INMS, and all the information and technical aspect which can be useful for your activities in your own local authority as well. Thank you so much from my side.
Thank you very much. This was very inspirational. It's not always so easy to integrate both of them, but it's so very helpful. We'll take it a step forward how to develop shared SECAPs for small municipalities. And I'd like to introduce Václav and Michal.
Good morning. Great. So please, you can go right to the next slide. Good morning. My name is Václav Šebek. I'm from Seven, one of the partner of Own Your SECAP project, and we will present with our colleague Michal Svoboda, who's from the very place, from DSO Tolstein, where this joint SECAP was implemented. So the first, I will just overview what happened, and I will give you some more general context of shared or joint SECAP, and then Michal will talk more about the what really happened on the ground and about the area. So, first of all, the shared or joint SECAP is it's one of the recommended forms of SECAP that is recommended by the official Covenant of Mayor guideline. So this is something that the founders and developers of SECAP they had this in mind, and there are actually two options. First of them is that all the municipalities that join together, that share their efforts, that they basically just add their own individual pledges. But I would say the most useful, and you see it in bold in the presentation, is the joint pledge. And for small local authorities, I would say that it's a very convenient solution, because you must know the context in the Czech Republic. Czech Republic has some over 6,500 municipalities for 10 million citizens. So the average municipality, with its own mayor and the town hall and all the agenda, the average town is way below 1,000 inhabitants. Much rather like 500 or 700 population. And as well, you can see that for such a small municipality, this is yes or no question. I mean, if they are to have their own individual SECAP, there is no capacity to develop this SECAP for such a small municipality. So it's the only chance to be covered by the SECAP policy. It's to join the efforts and make a joint or shared SECAP. Next slide, please. So what are we talking about? We are talking about the DSO Tolstein. DSO stands for Voluntary Association of Municipalities. And it's 6 municipalities altogether, with the population of below 5,000 inhabitants. It's actually 300 less. And there is also a seventh municipality called Warnsdorf, which is a local center with population of 14,000, of over 14,000 citizens, but this was excluded. So the joint SECAP only covered the 6 small municipalities. I will explain later why this was the case. This DSO Tolstein lays in the rural areas on the very fringe of in the Czech Republic. It's a peripheral area, mostly rural and full of forests, and it's in general it's a remote locality, and it's on the corner of 3 countries: Germany, Czech Republic, and Poland. So that it's eastern on the verge of Eastern Germany and Western Poland. Okay, next slide. And here we can see the overall comparison of the two options. So basically in the second column, you can see the values for the option when each municipality has its own SECAP. In the third, you can see the joint SECAP option. And we try to put our experience to well estimate of economies of scale. So if it's worth or is it's not. So regarding the population, the CCAP guidelines actually recommend the joint SECAP for the municipalities with under 10,000 population. On the other hand, it could also mean that you join together like a few of these municipalities of, I don't know, 8-9K population, and then you can easily get the area with 50 or 70,000 population. And I don't think that this is a good approach. So at least in the Czech context, when there are a lot of very small municipalities, we totally recommend to make a joint SECAP for just really smaller populations and maybe get to 10,000 the overall population for all the shared for all the municipalities included in the joint SECAP venture. Then, yeah, obviously, the biggest benefit is the shared pledge. Obviously, this is a big boost to collaboration between the municipalities, because the joint SECAP means that all the municipalities share the pledge. So some of them might contribute more, some of them might contribute less, and this brings well the good economies of scale or medium. And it really boosts collaboration, which you can see in the other rows. So it allows for example joint measures also. So that and there are many of them, especially in adaptation domain. Also, regarding the baseline emission inventory, the benefit is I would say up to discussion, because you need to count all the emissions. You have to design or calculate the baseline emission inventory for everyone for each municipality. So you have to do this anyway. But regarding risk assessment, the joint SECAP really start to make sense, because especially when the region is really pretty homogeneous, the risks are shared mostly. They are the same for all the municipalities. So here, from the perspective of its SECAP consultant, it's much easier to do this. And the same holds for formalities, because again, you're not doing 6 different SECAPs with 6 formal requirements. You are doing just one. And the same holds for responsibility. It's distributed. So I mean, no mayor is really feel that he's or she is on their own, which especially with the small municipalities, this is very, very important, and it helps actually carry out and implement the measures. Next slide, please. Yeah. Okay. I guess that this is a recap or consolidate summary of what was already said. and you can see that diversity might pose a problem. That I would say that this is also one of the key lessons learned from this process, that the joint SECAP makes sense not only for small municipalities but for similar municipalities, because then you really reach economies of scale, and you can and you know that municipalities, they face similar problems and they find similar solutions. But when actually there is an outlying one or two outlying municipalities, then you don't find you don't find similar solutions and problems, and then you basically double your efforts, because then it's when one of the municipalities in the group is a way different from the others. It's better to take it separately, and that's the reason why the local center Warnsdorf was made separately and has its own strategy. So next slide, please. Is there a next slide? Yes, it is there. Yeah. What is necessary is that in the shared SECAP you have to put a way more emphasis on communication. So yes, you are well. You are talking to different municipalities that they have their own political representatives. They have their own offices, even though they might be small, and you have to ensure that they talk to each other. So this, from the perspective of the SECAP development, this might be this might be a challenge. That is, it is good to know in advance and prepare for it. Yeah. So yeah. No. Go ahead. Yep. Okay, so this is my conclusion. As I said, the shared SECAP is good for a clearly defined region, for municipalities of similar size and similar issues, similar problems to solve. With every local authority that is atypical, that is not typical, that is different, it limits the economies of scales and increase the effort needs to be put into this. Yeah. So this is from the methodological or perspective, and now I would like to ask Michal, who was actually a recipient of this SECAP, to say if I was talking true.
Not at all. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Václav, for a brave and really good description of what happened and of my region. It seems like you fell in love with this region, even though you came from a little bit somewhere else. What Václav didn't say, and by the way, hello everyone. I'm happy to see you all again, even though I don't see you, but I feel your presence. I hope this is not for the last time. What Václav didn't say about the region of Tolstein, or a broader region that we call Bohemia North, is yes, leave it like this. Is that it is economically and socially really one of the most underdeveloped regions of the Czech Republic. It is part of Ústí region, which is a coal mining transitional region, where there is a big sentiment against the Green Deal, because for this region it basically means loss of jobs and loss of faith in very many aspects. We started with this initiative in the most unlikely place, in the village of Rybniště, which is like the lead village of the micro region, as we call it, which has a very well-known mayor, a very strong opinion mayor, a very kind of opinion leader mayor. He is an architectural engineer, so like a very pragmatic man, and he used to hate or had been hating the Green Deal as much as as one can. This guy has and it still has been heating most of the village by burning the brown coal, which might seem ridiculous from a perspective of an inhabitant of a big city like Prague, Vienna, Paris, or whatever. But listen, this guy did a very tremendous job if we take it from a local perspective, because by burning the coal, he used the cheapest possible way, and he, by the way, supported the local economy. Coal is our local supply. He was very pragmatic in that, and also he was right in following the idea that if cities like Copenhagen, Paris, or Berlin adopt meeting the goals of Green Deal in 2030 or 2050 respectively, for a region like this, very economically underdeveloped region. So if the big cities are adopting it for this region, it is unachievable. So what was the case? It was to make him believe, and actually I returned after thousands of years spent outside of my region. I returned home after a decade working for a big energy company in the capital. So I started there with making this guy believe that even though the goals that are written and that everybody talks about are unachievable, that doesn't mean we won't do anything. That we will stop, because this is mostly what happens. Like, the goals are unachievable, people won't follow them at all. I managed to make him believe that this might be a good strategy, and there is actually economically and in terms of self-sufficiently a plausible way how to keep or how to manage to keep the supply from the locality, and how to keep providing cheap energy from the village. This guy who's being considered an authority said, okay, let's try. And when this guy said that, an amazing thing happened. Can I get the next slide, please? Yeah, this one. That the other villages, and Václav was talking about just the 6 villages that joined the collective SECAP, but I really feel the need to show you the broader picture of the region, because what started in Rybniště and what started in the collective SECAP that Václav and his colleagues had written had caused actually a bomb that exploded in the broader region, because all, or not all, but most of the other villages started to follow. So at this moment we've got 2 SECAPs written in the region. The third SECAP is being written in the moment. It is the SECAP of Varnsdorf, which Václav was talking about. Some villages or little towns didn't want to go in the SECAP way, but they had, with the help of us, they had written their own energy strategy or energy conception, which differs, which is similar to SECAP in terms of action plans and it differs in the emphasis of counting the CO2 emissions. Like, they don't find it important to count the CO2 emissions, but for me what is important is that the result is the same. Like, we have action plans, like each of those cities and towns that are marked have their own plans, action plans, how at the end of the day to decarbonize, how to save money, how to save the nature. Not only that, there are actually 3 new positions of energy managers already established in the structure, in the municipal structures. So 3 new managers in a very small, very peripheral region. 22 out of 40 villages have already implemented the energy management system that started in Rybniště, that started the collective SECAP brought the new energy management system to the 6 villages, and other villages start using the same software, the same system, basically the same procedures. 5 of those villages have between the years 2023 and 24, like won or not won, but been scored among the 10 best in a national energy awards. So we have our own certified ministry certified one-stop shop in our center. So like we have a lot of strategic work done. And yeah, please, the next slide. This was mostly about the strategies, and also like real steps are being made based on those action plans. You might say those are little things. They are they are just examples here. It's not everything that had happened, but all those little parts had happened because of this collective SECAP or the following actions. So. And those are just the municipal things, like the aspects that the municipality had implemented, not people, not entrepreneurs, just the municipal parts. So quite a considerable number of new PV systems are being built. What is great is that the two energy super efficient nurseries, like not retrofitted, but 2 new buildings based on the knowledge of the energy inefficiency of the old ones were finished. A couple of buildings is going through the process of retrofitting. A very big number of old public lighting was exchanged for the new LED bulbs, and very many or considerably for this region that had been really like at the bottom of what we call the decentralized energy transition. Very many villages had built their own PV charge. By the way, the mayor of Rybniště himself is driving a electric vehicle nowadays, which is like an unbelievable turn, like the people cannot believe. So may I ask for the last slide, which summarizes it all? What we are actually being proud of is that we managed to implement the conceptual approach. Instead of what the people didn't like was like talking about particular things like, shall we build a PV? Shall we retrofit this building? Now, what all those mayors that I work with appreciate is having a great or having a logical and reliable action plan that really prioritizes things, that really tells what should be done first, next, that makes sense in terms of economy and in terms of environmental protection. What we have also managed to do is like we managed to get a high number of participation of like citizen agreement. Like we do sociological researches in which we find that the majority, like 60 to 70% of this population of really underdeveloped coal mining region, is actually supporting the decentralized energy under the terms that it goes into their hands, that they might one day become owners of major part of the new decentralized infrastructure. But we have the agreement, which is also great. We have the agreement because the local authorities, meaning the mayors, they are on our side. They believe that they started to believe based on this activity. The mayor started to believe, then the citizens started to believe. We have the first project. You might say that they are small. honestly, we didn't build megawatts of PVs, or we didn't build a white wind turbine, but I believe those are little steps. But very many little steps make a big steps, and at the end of the day, what we also achieved is a big media attention. Like within the frame of the Czech Republic, I hope once Václav can agree on this, we became a very well-known region in terms of energy decentralization and environmental protection. We are being invited to the major conferences. We are giving interviews to major national news, and like we are being like well recognized, even though the steps that we do are small, but there is many of them. Okay, that's it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Congratulations for your achievements. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Václav. And we will go someplace else, further north, with a friend of ours we have been working with for over 10 years now. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Edgars.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Thank you, all the team, and big applauses to the Own Your SECAP project. My name is Edgars Augustinš. I do represent municipality of Saldus, which is far northeast located municipality. In municipality, I'm working 9 years. Maybe Michael already had contact with the Saldus plus 1 year, those 10, but I do have quite a big experience working in these topics, what comes with energy management and also implementations of sustainable energy action plans. Next slide, please. So Saldus, we translate directly, that's the sweet city, as we say. We are one of those plenty municipalities located in west southern part, bordering with a Lithuanian municipality called Mažeikiai. Yes, next slide, please. If we are looking on the data of the municipality, we are more or less equally in size as the Markus already presented success story of Kuldīga. They also are our neighbors on north side. So two cities we would call Saldus and Brocēni, which totally occupy half of the total municipality residents. So totally there is around 26,000, 27. The trend is not good for us. So the demographic data is really declining, and we are struggling to attract new generations to live in municipality. But nevertheless, so 2 cities, 19 parishes. So that means we are quite also rural area, spread across our municipality. Next slide, please. If we are talking about our budget, so what we do and how much we spend and what we actually can spend. So overall, our municipality budget is around 50 millions. And the point of this is not to say how much you spend for the education, but actually the site and housing management, which is the core thing of my and my colleague activities, also working in the SECAP. So if you are looking at that, that's like 1/5 of total budget is being spent, like 12-13 millions on the yearly basis. Fair enough money to be sure that we spend wisely. We keep track on it and actually make a progress to decrease those costs for sure. Next slide. Municipality of Saldus, as most of the municipalities, stands with beauty. So we do have in the center the rooster on the roof, but if I'm looking on the public building side of point of view, so we also have hundreds of buildings. Those are schools, kindergartens, libraries, and sport facilities, more than 2,500 light bulbs. So things which have to be taken care and also planned how we do it. So next slide, please. So everything for us also started with the planning. planning, maybe also so clumsy that I have missed one letter of planning. Also, planning always not are the best ones, but we really did start. Yes, go on. We started with the SECAPs. When I joined the municipality, the SECAPs were in place, and that was the time that these first plans was designed with real help from outside, and in this case specifically Ecodoma, and it gave actually good ground that municipality has to run and set up the energy management system, which was actually also my first task. And then from 2019, we were also joining the project called Compete for SECAP. All of you most probably know it. And within that, we designed a new SECAP plan for us, which have been partly implemented, struggling to be on the shelf or being on the table all the time. And therefore, also we were part and still are the part of the Own Your SECAP activities. But coming up, yeah, you can go for the next slide. So the progress and the ambitions during the first SECAP plan were in safe range. So we set up at that time that 40% of CO2 reductions had to be reached by 2030, and actually we are reaching at the moment already these figures. But during this period of implementation of plan, also territorial reform happened in Latvia. Therefore, Brocēni, the second city which I mentioned in previous slides, joined us. And problem and the reality is that partly small municipality who joined us in size 1/4 of Saldus didn't accumulated any data. And during last year, what we are struggling, we are trying to reach as far as we can to reach that our existing 2008 baseline year, which is the worst year and set as the baseline. But the reality, it's challenging and almost impossible today to reach back like those 17 years back, and that says how much actually the value of data and the importance of that. Nevertheless, the plans are in place, and when the plans are in place, we continue with the financing. We go to the city council, we go to the mayor, executive directors, and we plan how actually implement those activities and reach those financing. And within the municipality and directly with support of Ecodoma, what we did different compared to last year's is we looked on our, as I call it, Bible, which is investment plan for the municipality. Next slide, please. And with help, we actually went through all the actions for the next period where municipality has, yes, we would like to look on these directions and invest our municipal budget in those activities. And there is 242 actions set, which includes also our sector, like public infrastructure, climate resilience and energy, environment and natural resources is described, housing sector, mobility and transport. So those are the actions which directly takes the money and goes and invest in activities which can actually reduce the impact of and also energy consumption. And when we did very simple task with the help of Ecodoma, what we did, we went through these actions and said, of any investment action, what will be effect on the climate changes? You can go to next slide, please. And the results are, I would say, quite good. If we are looking at that, and that's maybe because municipality is working for these activities for years already, it's not something new one, but more than half of the activities do match or partly match the idea that by spending each of those municipal budget euros, we will do some benefit and reducing the emissions, or we will adjust to the climate changes, for example. And also it clarified out the sectors which are more in advanced and more struggling. For example, transport sector was one of those who lacked most of the activities and spendings towards green solutions, if I would say like that. And that's the reason why we actually started work also for that sector firstly. Next slide. And so yeah, if we started with planning, investments and financing, and then we went down to the colleagues and people. So from the beginning, we do have this work group. The full responsibility comes to the work group. So someone has to be responsible in the municipality so that we take off the shelf the plan and we implement in reality. And the group consists, as you see, the core is under executive director. Energy manager more or less is fully responsible for the plan implementation. And then, of course, there are cases and situations that those mentioned departments actually really don't know, do we have this SECAP? Are there any obligations against us? They only write, usually me, do we have this plan where I can find, because someone is asking me whether municipality has designed it. But that means and shows actually that something is struggling, and people and the colleagues know partly that it is, but of course the workload is so huge that in daily life they don't have time to read it. Maybe also they don't have the interest to read it. So they have not been catched, and they don't feel the ownership that they are part of this common big ship steering that we steer actually in direct way. And of course, there is side involvement from those 19 parishes, villages, if we would say, and also public companies which do have municipalities like water supply, heat supply, and etc. But what they did and tried different, and I think that is approach which has to be really continued for every municipality is in upcoming slides. So we know that SECAPs do have these sectors, and we focused based on also on the historical approach, 5 sectors: transport, municipal infrastructure, adaptation on the climate changes, housing, and energy production. And we tried and still trying and honest that to identify colleagues, active colleagues, proactive colleagues who are enthusiastic about their specialty, their sector, and they can take ownership also within the SECAP. So that means that there is transport engineer or territorial planner who can deal with the transport sector and feels ownership of those measures set in. So and can help also to strengthen the plan within the municipality structure. And so we really try to break down the activities to the smaller work groups linked to those sectors, and encourage those colleagues to be part, an active part of this. So still we are in the progress with struggles happening so far. The next step will be that we will what we will do it as soon we will finalize the updated SECAP plan is that the involved colleagues will take lead of those sectors and also be the ones who introduce colleagues with them, the rest of the colleagues. Next slide, please. But yeah, if I'm saying and then coming back to the slides as I presented, and that's actually the chronological timeline, how we did for those 9 years while I'm working in municipality. Did it really work well? Maybe, but I would say let's do it vice versa from the lessons learned in the last years. So first thing and absolutely the ground is the people. So colleagues, stakeholders, those should be firstly in advance engaged and onboarded on that idea. Only with them we start, and also with their ownership we start the planning. So that means that we gather their ideas, we put up on the paper, and and strengthen the overall planning so that it's not coming really from outside, but it's coming from the inside as the generation and the motivator, as the engine from the inside. And only in the end, we think how we can finance and invest in those activities for the sectors. So that's really strong foundation how it should be built in my mind, looking today, and so that it could be successful and showing up the results afterwards, and how it's being proceeded. And I think that's in the identity of the project which is being presented today. That is the Own Your SECAP. Please, next slide. So that's the approach which takes time, nerves, patience, but it gives the strength of those plans which have to be continued, whether the municipality is smaller or bigger. I think the approach is being tested and have been tested for several municipalities, and I would say from my personal experience, this is one of the ways and most probably the best way how to deal with that and work on that. Next slide, please. And if I would say 4 pillars, which is crucial for municipality where I am working and hope I will work with that, is that support, internal support, and also support from outside. These sort of projects gives the outside support, the know-how, the maybe advice-wise approach, so that those local activists can really act and don't give up on the journey. Also, the shared responsibility is one of the key pillars, so that it is not on the shoulders of energy manager. I see it's not going to run. Maybe I'm the personality which shows that it's not going to run, but in most cases, I would say it just gives the power of the plan. Motivation from the political motivation, the also executional level motivation. That's, I think, is the core thing. Otherwise, the active colleagues and energy manager will just hit the wall. And constancy, so that we keep constant effort. As we know, it's replanning on the yearly basis, following up the results, setting up the new ambitions, and keeping up with this, because it's not one-time shot. We did it, we succeeded. It's actually really, really like a marathon to keep it on and running. Yes, that's from my side all. Thank you for your attention. Before I end, I just want to say and actually encourage to work at your side, at your workplace, to clap to the Own Your SECAP team, especially to Marika. She has really been great support personally for me, and I hope also for other colleagues, giving this third point, motivation to work and not giving up on the things. Applauses, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Edgars, for this very sweet example and for your inspirational presentation. And it shows really that from the examples that we have all over Europe and from the high ambition that Europe has, this really works. And ultimately, Own Your SECAP, which has been a very great project, is still ongoing for a few months, and we have still lots of work to do. But we should think ahead now and see what comes next. And are there any opportunities open? Will we be able to finance the support? And for this, it gives me the immense pleasure to welcome Christina.
Hi, good morning from very warm Brussels today. This is really unusual. So thank you for having me. Indeed, I'm Cristina Messer Martinez and I work at CINEA. I will explain in a minute what CINEA is. But it's a great pleasure to be here at the concluding event of Own Your SECAP project, which I've had the pleasure to follow for the past around 3 years, if I remember correctly. So yeah, thank you for having me and congratulations on all the work. Indeed, we've heard a lot of work that has been done, a lot of, well, ideas to continue for the future. And I hope that my presentation today can give you a bit of an insight on, well, maybe how to support those activities and those plans for the future. So maybe next slide, please. Thank you. So CINEA is the European Climate Infrastructure and Environment Executive Agency of the European Commission. So what we do is implementing different funding instruments on behalf of, well, the European Commission. We indeed have the mandate to take those funding programs and implement them, meaning, well, running all the cycle, or the grant making cycle, as we call it. So the preparation of calls, the management of the submission of proposals, the evaluation, and eventually the grant agreement preparation, and support to beneficiaries and coordinators such as, well, here, Marika and the team, to implement the work that these grants are doing, and these projects are doing. So we implement a number of funding programs that indeed aim at advancing the economic development, enhance competitiveness, and protect nature. So you see here the different funding programs that we implement. Some of you probably are very familiar with many of these programs. For example, well, very well known Horizon Europe, the R&D, Research and Innovation program of the European Union. We also have other programs such as Connecting Europe Facility, for example, and I work on the LIFE program. The LIFE program has 4 sub-programs. Many of you, sorry, can you go back? Just, yeah, thank you. Many of you probably are very familiar with the LIFE program because traditionally it has been for more than 30 years already a funding program focused on the environment and biodiversity. So there's been a long tradition of projects working on, well, protection of biodiversity and nature, climate change adaptation and mitigation, for instance. And since 2021, there is a new leg or pillar of the LIFE program, which is the Clean Energy Transition Sub-program, which is the one I work for, and under which Own Your SECAP was granted as part of this first goal, actually. The LIFE Clean Energy Transition Sub-program is the successor program of the H2020 Energy Efficiency. For those of you that might be familiar, indeed, Compete for SECAP, I think was funded with the H2020 Energy Efficiency Program. So, well, just to say that indeed the agency implements these programs and supports a lot of applicants and a lot of beneficiaries, such as the team here, to work on this. Next slide, please. The program that I work in, so the Clean Energy Transition Sub-program, supports the policy and vision of the EU related to energy and climate. In our case, well, more related to energy, obviously. So ultimately, and the kind of overarching goal is to contribute to climate neutrality by 2050, as stated in the EU Green Deal. The program also contributes to the recently launched Clean Industrial Deal and Affordable Energy Action Plan. And then we contribute specifically to policies that have been mentioned already before by Christoph earlier. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail of this. So, for example, the Energy Efficiency Directive, Renewable Energy Directive, and Energy Performance of Building Directive. Those are the kind of main, let's say, policy or maybe the backbone of why we do what we do. And why you do what you do, essentially, so it's to contribute to the targets that are set out under those 3 directives mainly, but touching upon many different areas of work, as I was mentioning here. And eventually as well to contribute to the REPowerEU measure or package of measures that was launched a few years ago as a response to well, with the goal of phasing out dependency on Russian fossil fuels. Next slide, please. So this is a bit of the same theme, but well, this is just to show you how the different areas of work that we implement, as you see in the little box at the bottom of the slide. So, for example, mobilization of private finance for clean energy transition, the setup of the support to setting up one-stop shops and provide technical assistance, heating and cooling work, for instance, also becoming quite important, or the support to the proliferation of energy communities. This is also quite a big area of work, and the support, the sort of long-standing support that we have provided as well to local and regional authorities through projects such as Own Your SECAP. So indeed, these boxes, which are more than what I just mentioned, that those are the ones that you see in the boxes there, contribute to the achievements of those main policy areas that are in the boxes above. Next slide, please. So indeed, we launch calls for proposals on a yearly basis, and I will mention a bit more about that in a minute. But these 5 intervention areas, as we call them, remain stable over in what we call a multi-annual work program. So even if the topics or the calls for proposals that we put on a yearly basis can differ a bit from one year to the other, they all respond to these 5 intervention areas that remain stable throughout these years. So, for example, these are building national and regional or support to the advancement of national, regional, and local policies, such as this project that we're discussing today. Acceleration of the technology rollout, digitalization, new services and skills, for instance. Attracting private finance for sustainable energy, mobilization of investments at local and regional projects. This is our PDA projects, in case of some of you are familiar, Player Development Assistant, and also empowerment of citizens. And this is all the work that is being done concerning energy communities, for example, and alleviation of energy poverty and energy vulnerable households. So these 5 intervention areas every year translate into funding topics for granting that I will mention in a minute as well. But also, sorry, just move this one sec. But also, in some cases, in some key policy areas, also tenders are launched in case a need is identified. It's important to mention, just one step back before we go into this, it's important to mention that indeed we launch every year, we launch a call for proposals. This is the natural kind of granting cycle that we have. It's on a yearly basis. The topics that we put for the funding topics that we put there for in the call for proposals that are based on these 5 intervention areas, they're always elaborated hand in hand with our, as we call them, the parent Directorate General of the European Commission. In our case, it's DG Energy, so the Department for Energy of the European Commission, and it's based on an identification of key priorities in order to meet the EU goals on energy policies. Next slide, please. So we have a call open at the moment. The Life Clean Energy Transition has a call open right now. We opened it in April 2025, so I think it was the 24th, if I remember correctly, so a month and a half ago, and it will be open until September. I will give you the practical details in a minute, but we have 12 topics open this year. I'm not going to go into the detail because then we will never end this webinar, and I will give you some more resources later of where you can find more information. But these are 6 of the 12 topics that we have open, and they're under these kind of boxes that I was mentioning a minute ago. So, for example, maybe very well, I think all of our topics, even if we have one specific topic that is called, well, in this case, this year is called Boosting the Clean Energy Transition in Cities and Regions. These are so-called local topic. A lot of our topics, if not, well, not all of them, but a lot of them touch upon local and regional authorities. So that's why I don't want to just single out 1 or 2 as relevant for this audience or for local and regional authorities and entities working around them, because many of them can be very relevant, and many of them actually have a long-standing history of having supported local and regional authorities in the clean energy transition. So yeah, just to mention a few, maybe indeed I just mentioned a minute ago, boosting the topic on boosting the clean energy transitions in cities and regions. So this topic aims, just to highlight a couple of things, aims at supporting indeed local and regional authorities with a focus on the implementation and setting out structures or tools or instruments that will support the implementation of plans such as SECAPs or other strategies for the clean energy transition. And has a focus as well on support to local and regional authorities with the heating and cooling plans, with the decarbonization of the heating and cooling networks. Maybe another to pick up from here, I could mention the one-stop shops. This is a topic that is always popular, and we receive a good number of good proposals. So this is to support an A to Z service for the renovation of buildings, private buildings or rental units in this case as well. So this is always quite popular. On private finance or crowding in private finance, indeed, this is also a topic that has been long-standing, and so the idea is to accelerate and attract private financing towards the clean energy transition, so it's not always dependent on public funding. Next slide, please. This is the other 6 topics, so indeed 12, as I mentioned, in total. And here maybe I can mention a couple of them. For example, alleviating household energy poverty in Europe. So this has a strong component as well on local and regional authorities and how these authorities and entities can contribute to alleviating energy poverty in their territories. Support services for energy communities, also a strong component of local and regional authorities. And then, for example, skills. This is more maybe focused on national level. To make sure that there are sufficient and good quality skills available for the clean energy transition. And building renovation. So there is there's a big mix of things, and I invite potential applicants or all of you interested in having a look and see what's in there for you. Indeed, as I mentioned, even if there is one topic specifically naming local and regional authorities, many of them have something in there for these entities and for that level of the subnational level of governance, which is quite key in this transition. So if you move on, please, to the next slide. So as I mentioned, we have a call open right now. The publication was on the 24th of April, and it will close on the 23rd of September. So still a good 3 months to work on a proposal over the summer, which is great timing. There will be around 91 million euro available for about 45 to 50 grants. It's always difficult to predict, but this is more or less what we're estimating at the moment. I mentioned earlier that the topics are policy driven. I was mentioning that we, on a yearly basis, we prepare these calls hand in hand with our policy colleagues that, based on identification of key policy priorities. That's why they have detailed guidance. So you will see if you go in the call documents that is quite well explained, or not explained, but quite the thorough description of what the proposal should look like or what we would like to see being proposed by September. For most of the funding topics, there's a minimum of 3 eligible entities from 3 different countries. On average, it really depends on the topic we're discussing, but on average, we have a higher number of beneficiaries in one consortium. I would say that in the projects it can go between 8 and 12. Maybe that's a kind of ballpark number of beneficiaries in one consortium. But this is something that depends on the type of topic you want to apply to and the eligibility conditions for those. All of them have a 95% co-funding rate, so this is higher than the usual LIFE program co-funding rate. So this is always good. And everything is to be submitted. If you're interested in submitting a proposal, everything is to be done electronically through the funding and tenders portal, where you will also find as well the very specific description of the different topics I just showed in the boxes earlier. And you will have indeed the full call document with, again, the description of the topics, but also all the eligibility conditions that are needed for a proposal to be deemed eligible and to be evaluated. Next slide, please. There was info days organized in mid-May, so a month ago exactly. You obviously it's a bit late to attend those, but all the recordings are available, and you can find them online. Again, in the CINEA websites. I will send you, and I will show you in a minute the different communication channels that you can have a look. And in the funding attendance portal, you will find also links to these info days. In the info days, you have presentations, specific presentations on each of the topics I mentioned a minute ago, but also presentations on the financial side of the proposals, and also tips on how to prepare a good proposal. So I would invite you, if you're interested, to have a look at those general presentations on how to write a good proposal and the financial elements, but then also to dive into the different topics that might be of interest to you. And the final slide, please. So indeed, we invite you to keep an eye on the funding opportunities through the website of CINEA, but also I invite you to, if you're interested, to get in touch with your national contact points. So we have a very good network of very professional and well-trained national contact points. Depending on the country, they are sitting in one or the other ministry, but indeed they can provide you with specific support and tips and tricks to apply, and good statistics. And they're a great source of information for in case you have an idea or a concept for a proposal. In any case, we also have the functional mailbox that I'm showing right there, CINEA Live CET at eceuropa.eu, where you can ask questions if you have specific questions on the topics or on the call. You can also send your question there, and the most appropriate colleague will come back to you on that. That's it on my side. I hope this can be useful for the participants. After hearing all these inspirational stories of the work that's been done at local level, that you can find an instrument here to pursue your ideas and your concepts. And I wish you good luck in your applications in case you're sending one.
Thank you very much. It is very interesting to know that there's a big European ambition, and that the calls are open, so we can apply. I do have a slide for questions and answers, but apparently I've got really nothing in the chat. So I will probably stop sharing and ask if you have online, questions or answers, because we are definitely very keen on answering them. Well, it doesn't look like there are many people wanted. Yes, we have a hand raised, so please. Yes, the question is, could we send the presentation? Of course we can, and it will be uploaded, of course, on the Own Your SECAP website, on the resources, or also in events, so you can be able to download it. Marika, I'll give you the last as a speaker, because you are our beloved team leader on this project, and thank you very, very much for the very good job that you have done in this project and for us.
Yeah, no, it was just a mistake. Sorry. But anyhow, yeah, I think I would like to thank everyone, Mikael and Solène, for organizing all the event, for the speakers, for participating and presenting the results, and of course the people who joined. Really big thanks. I hope we gave at least a small insight what we have done. And as Mikael mentioned, we still have busy summer and all of our achievements we will try to as best to publish in our reports and deliverables. And our scope, of course, is to make them as friendly as possible for different type of users and politicians, energy managers, developers. So please have a look at the website and look and follow our social accounts, and thanks.
Right, there's nobody who wants to ask any questions. Thank everybody for their participation. Thank for the local authorities who are very, very inspirational. And it looks like owning their SECAP really works. And thanks to our visitors today, participants, and to the project partners. And hope to see you real soon. And it's much better to see you in presence, but that's the way it works. It is more efficient in terms of CO2 savings and travel and budget and everything, although it's much less pleasant.
Thanks a lot.
Yes. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.